Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive Bobby Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Bobby.
Okay, guys, we're back. Did you miss us? Because we missed you.
Rules?
There are no rules.
What rules?
This is a revolution, damn it!
You'll hear things you've never heard before.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
Who are those guys?
And then there's the other guys.
We're the other guys. We're the guys nobody ever bets on.
The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
It's time for the Other Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts, Tim, Dave, and Jeremy.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And what can we tell you? We are the Other Alliance Guys, a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance, the NWA territories, and various independents around the world. I should say we are 2/3 of the Alliance, guys. We are currently missing Dave Scooby, whose entire complex just lost power. I believe Scoop's still in the Baltimore area, but Jeremy's here. Championship Wrestling from Jeremy. How you doing, my friend?
I am doing well, sir. I'm doing well. And yourself?
My lawyer says I don't have to answer that. What are we looking at today?
Always take your lawyer's advice.
Well, I'll tell you. The reason I say that is because you and I and Dave are going to be set today to review Texas-style wrestling in NWA territory, and not to give any spoilers away, but
I'm reminded of a Weezer song after watch it. Say it ain't so. Say we don't have to. Say it ain't so.
Well, Media Mike made that video for us, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, I got to keep that one forever. Thinking about you, Mike. We miss you, buddy. Well, other than that, we're going to be doing Championship Wrestling from Jeremy's segment by the same name, the sixth stage of the seventh level of
Number 6.
Number 6. And if Dave, hopefully, Scooby makes it back on, he's going to book a Crockett Cup for the tag teams from the NWA territories that he's playfully calling the Corgan Cup, which I think is a great name and a great idea. But let's where's Willie? Willie's here.
Yeah, he let me know earlier that he was going to be dropping a good Tyrus joke and
dropping a Tyrus.
Yeah.
He has a new job as a before model for men's weight loss. Willie is relentless. He agrees that, in fact, that is the case. There he is. He's here.
Hey. Lights back on.
Yeah, it's good. You have had problems down there in the last week or so, like we have, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, we lost power in that storm not in my area, but in Ontario for about the better part of a week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, it's
anyway,
just awful.
Yeah. We were just talking about what we're doing today. NWA territory, your Corgan Cup booking of the territory for the Crockett Cup for the territories. Jeremy's going to look at the sixth stage of the 7 levels of hate. So let us get right into it. Let's get it over with, as Jeremy alluded to. We are touring the territories once again. This is week number 4. It's the NWA Texas governing body, specifically Texas-style wrestling, which, along with Dog Pound, who they're affiliated with, makes up NWA Texas. A little bit of background. A couple of guys I am not familiar with. David Horacek and Randy Klein are the principal owners in this endeavor. They do have tapings coming up in the middle of May on the 19th. If you're in the area, TSW boasts Damage as a roster member. Christy James, many may remember as just CJ. Tim, it's funny, they write him as Tim Varen Bond Storm. Not Baron Vaughn, but Varen Bond on the website. But also Soda Pop for those of us who watched the NWA in the last few years. And, many of their posters have people like Markova and Idol. And, some of the NWA faithful who have been around the last few years. 21 videos on YouTube, their own channel, 1,400 followers. Not bad for, just a short time in business. They called this their final tapings at the TSW studios in Addison, Texas.
Yeah.
Which I think is the greater Dallas area. Willie Bullen wants to see the Wolf Zaddies invited to the Crockett Cup, Dave, just so you know. Maybe the Corgan Cup. Who knows? We'll find out. Well, I'll kick it off here. I'll start with something positive because it's a bit of a shit sandwich. Put nice pieces of bread on either end if you can. The lighting's fairly balanced for this show. It keeps the focus in the ring. It's very dark around the outside, which obviously helps limit your view on the fact that there's not a lot of people in this particular venue right now. The entrance sound is very loud and it's very clear. They have a nice big screen up on the back. Problem is that they don't get a lot of shots of this, and you don't see some of the things that they feature their audience. But the show starts off with a promo with a gentleman named Bam Bam Malone. First of all, if you're not 350 pounds or more, you shouldn't be named Bam Bam.
Thank you.
This gentleman might be 180. I don't know. I'm not criticizing. I think he may even be the Texas champion. I'm not sure. The website is not clear. But he has a promo. Jeremy, what did you think of Bam Bam's promo? He's talking about Ivan Warsaw. He's got a problem with Warsaw, and he's going to take him down. What were your thoughts?
Dave, what were your thoughts on Bam Bam Malone?
Well, passing the buck, okay. He reads very well off the cue cards. I mean, there was no energy at all. It's almost like he's reciting something that he just memorized, and he's concentrating so hard not to forget. It just seemed phoned in. Like I said, him reading off of cue cards. There's no passion to it. It's just, it's a promo of how not to do a promo.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I was sitting there watching it, and I was drawn back to, I think it was Allison Kay's first segment on Carneyland, promo 101.
Yep.
He checked every single fucking box that you're not supposed to do. There was no energy, like Dave said. Clearly reading from a cue card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll move along. You guys have nailed it already. The opening video package, remembering, of course, it's an independent, promotion wrapped into under the NWA Texas banner. Not bad. A couple of people you might recognize and who are on the package here. I think that's good. The commentary team are two gentlemen, Bob Moglen and James Beard, which have to be the greatest old school announcer names of all time. Bob Moglen. I don't know why. Maybe it sounds like Bob Caudle, but
Bob Caudle. Yeah. That's exactly what I thought.
Yeah. He's fine. Again, very straightforward. I'm okay with that. The other guy is, Texas being Canadian, my perception of Texas is just that it's it's very large, and there are different accents from different places. People from Austin maybe don't sound like people from Dallas, and this guy is the other guy, James Beard, very Southern. I love it. It's a nice little, it's like a very Southern guy and a metropolitan gentleman. So I'm okay with the commentary. The opening match, the one that I'm most looking forward to tonight, is Zilla Fatu, who comes to the ring with Devastation Reborn, a tag team that I could not find the names of, no matter how hard I looked, which was not very hard, versus the Investment Queens. Zilla Fatu has some buzz, much of it negative in his past. But, he was in GCW. He was in Booker T's ROW. I think he was champ in both places, but I might be mistaken about GCW. He's the son of Umaga, the late Umaga, but not to cast any dispersions upon him that he hasn't already done himself. He spent 6 years in the Texas State Pen for aggravated assault. And he's in his mid-20s right now. So, we kind of look at some of these guys sometimes as you see people on their way up. And I kind of wonder if he's going to go because of that past. But we'll see. Queens comes out. It's his inaugural match. He has this terrible mask. I don't understand what's on it. I think it's digital. It looks weird. Gordon Soley did rule. There's a Sheik, AJ Farrat, who's a manager, a white guy who's a Sheik. He sends Devastation Reborn. I almost said Inc. Devastation Reborn to the back. He tells the female referee she should be in a burqa. I think he said burqa.
Yeah.
This was a total squash, a couple of punches from Queens, and Zilla does two cool moves, I thought, which basically he does two moves.
Yeah.
Like throughout the whole match. I don't mean that, that's his whole game plan. That's just all he has to do. He does a press Samoa drop, which looked cool, and he did sort of a press spike. Name your Samoan NOA family person here that he does to drive him to the mat. And it's over. It's totally dominant. Zilla Fatu crushes this poor guy. Jeremy, what'd you think?
My first question was why is the Sheik guy talking with a very heavy Texas drawl? Queens is not Shawn Michaels, nor should he be trying to bump like him. And he took longer getting around the ring after rolling out and taking a powder than the match itself took.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And he's a very bad investment.
But
I'm here all week.
That's right. Tip your servers. Dave, your thoughts?
Well, like you said, the Sheik, I don't know who picked him to be the Sheik. Devastation Reborn is a throwback to Devastation Incorporated of World Championship, world class back in the Dallas days, Von Erichs, and back in the day of who was it? Skandar Akbar.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now they just need to find somebody good to play that Sheik role. I like the nod to WCCW and the Sheik and all, but they need to find the right people to play the right parts. And like Jeremy said, more than half of the match was spent outside the ring than in the ring. But if it's going to be a squash match to highlighted Zilla Fatu. It did what it was supposed to do. And I mean, it could have been over 30 seconds earlier.
Yeah.
But
Yep,
it is
it
what
could
it
have
is.
been much quicker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of us sitting there going, okay, squash them already. They go to this is my favorite part of this show. This is going to sound like I'm mocking them, but I'm not. I actually really made me smile. Was you go, yeah, thanks for sitting through it so I didn't have to. Was the local commercials that come up. Like, look, man, like it's so. I'm sitting there laughing the whole time. Again, I don't mean to mock them. Get your money. Get your money where you have to. Yeah, not Devastation Inc. Yeah. Devastation Reborn. Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of the what was it? Waffles and tire irons.
Yeah. The first one was a local salsa brand where they did, and it meant like Soda Pop. Was working in an office, and then he ate some local salsa, and he, I don't know, beat the shit out of everyone in the office, and then he kind of comes back out of it, and he's at work, and he's got a little bit of salsa on his chin. It was great for a really local market, you know.
High production value at that.
Yeah, I was like, okay, cool. You know, the other one was for a tattoo parlor, which, hey, listen, I got tattoos. I'm good, but boy, that's indie.
Fucking weird name for a tattoo parlor, though.
Yeah, I forget what it was.
I would not if you didn't advertise tattoo parlor. I would not in a million years think that was a tattoo parlor.
It was like one of those mega corps from movies, like Anodyne Industries or something.
Yeah.
Like, what is this? A tattoo parlor. Anyway, okay, so then we're supposed to see Carlos Diaz versus Damage, who is represented by a manager called Professor P. So Carlos comes into the ring. Damage immediately runs out of the back and attacks him. And then a masked wrestler called El Tormenta interrupts. And the announcers say, well, we know who's under the mask. You know, like it's hard to kind of work around it. They say that right on the air. And I thought, Willie. But it's not so bad because there is no match.
Yeah.
That's what's terrible. The announcer, the ring announcer, her name is Brittany, I believe, goes into the ring to get an interview with El Tormenta, who never attacks Damage. There's no fighting. And she says, look, you know, there's a lot of speculation. It's clear to us watching. It's clear to the announcers who have said it that, you know, you're Tim Storm.
Yeah.
And he points to the name on his hind end and says, no, he says in Tim Storm's voice, you know, the name says El Tormenta or Tormenta. And he says he was brought in to deal with Damage. And if Damage, you know, if you want to hide under a mask, anyone can hide under a mask. You had a beef with Tim Storm, but El Tormenta is here. Okay. And that was the end of it. What did you think, Dave? What did you think of El Tormenta?
I mean, it's one of these. They're going back for. I don't know. It's one of these things of, you know, who's under the mask, and it's just you can't take it serious. That, like when Dusty would get suspended, the Midnight Rider would show up. Or Charlie Brown would show up during these certain, when somebody would disappear. Oh, hey, Yellow Dog's here.
Yellow Dog.
I wonder what happened to another wrestler. Oh, well, they were suspended. Well, they sort of wrestle similar. I think they had the same trainers. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, you know, but you're not supposed to know. Just let it be and let the story ride out. Even though, I mean, there's a time and a place for everything, but to rely on always going back to what happened in the past. I mean, The first match, Devastation Reborn. Well, that's a copy of Devastation Incorporated from the Texas area. Okay, try something new. It doesn't have to be brand new, but try something within the last 10 years that has happened.
Right.
It is what it is. You know who the people are under the mask. Enjoy it for what it is, and let's move on.
My only hope for this, Jeremy, was that El Tormenta had, sort of said anyone could be under a mask, is that he's here to unmask damage. And that, maybe that's the end of the masked, the mask of, how do I say it? Time to reveal the person under the damage mask.
Yeah.
However, I don't care to see that match.
Like Dave, I enjoyed the nostalgia vibe feel that I got. It was fun to see the, that's Tormenta. We all like Dave said, we all know who in the hell it was. We know who both of them are. But it's funny it's fun to watch it play out. But again, it is old and maybe try to figure out a way to put a modern twist on it.
Yeah, it's bad so far for sure though, and we get our first shot of the crowd here. There's not too many people there. There's a Dog Pound Dojo commercial. They are allied with that school and product. We get a women's match, Alejandro versus Ladybird in her debut. Back and forth. I wasn't interested. The finisher, it's kind of this neck breaker into a backstabber. I didn't really get anything out of it. What do you think, Jeremy?
I noticed that the commentary said that Christy Janes was the women's champ, I believe.
Oh.
And that was good to hear. And the only good thing about this show so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
The finisher was decent. What did you think, Dave?
Quite a few near falls back and forth was good, but you can tell they're not veteran wrestlers.
Yeah.
That they're almost waiting on what's going to happen next. It could have flowed a little easier, but for what it wasn't bad. At least we got a match out of it.
Yeah, we did get a match out of it. Yes, we did.
Yep.
Okay, here's my favorite part of the show. It's a commercial segment again. The three people advertising on this program. The first is an HOA management company. It's a homeowner association management company on TSW Wrestling. Oh my God, that's awesome. And then it's a local ladies' hair salon. And the thing for it was like, go and talk to Barb or whatever. She's waiting for your call.
Yep.
That's awesome. And then there was finally a UV disinfection light, which seemed to, they didn't say anything other than like, hey, look, there's bacteria on your table as you turn the light on. Now they're.
Yeah. At one point it looked like you could have stuff come out of it.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
Are you telling me that if I want, I could gas a classroom or something? And I can do it and change the lighting as I'm doing it to make them feel like they're in the middle of a fucking rave or something as they're.
Yeah.
Oh God. Anyway, I digress. You get an Edgar Garza promo where he calls himself the Texas Wolverine, Dave, 3 times. He's after damage. That's all I got.
It is what it is. I'm almost enjoying the commercials more than I am the matches or the interview segments.
Yes, that's my takeaway from this. Jeremy, anything to add?
So I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to find out that the reason why he's the Texas Wolverine is because that was his favorite fucking comic book character. Why the fuck are you calling yourself the Texas Wolverine? Shut the fuck up.
Are there Wolverines in Texas? I don't even know.
No.
Okay.
Well, there may be. I'm not 100% sure of that, but still.
I'm the Texas Wolverine. I'm the Texas Honey Badger.
I'm the. It did feel geographically incorrect to me, like Tim Wood, the Canadian Gecko.
Jeremy, the Evansville Gilded Skunk.
Wow.
All right, we get to our main event. I'm using air quotes, which I'm fundamentally against, but however, it is Ivan Warsaw versus Bam Bam Malone. Malone walks out. Warsaw attacks him, but because all the lighting that I mentioned is over the ring and you can't see the outside, you can't see what the fuck they're doing for the first 3 minutes of this match. They're in an area where the cameras can't get to them. They keep flashing back to this hard cam to the empty ring where nothing's happening. You can tell, like, what, is he throwing him into a table? Like, way back there, and the camera, like, the direction's terrible. They keep switching back and forth. The camera work's bad. There's a lot of empty ring shots, like I mentioned. Here's my favorite part of it, is that the announcers are like, there's no story being told. The absence of a story is what's being told. They're like, we don't know why Warsaw hates Malone so much, but he just does. Yeah, he's just a bad guy. Seesaw fight, lots of chops. They left 15 minutes for this thing at the end. I'm like, okay, we're going to get a match here. There are suplexes out on the floor, backdrops out on the floor, like really unnecessary. Like there seems like there's 50, 60 people out of the crowd. Willie Bowen is the California alligator man.
Yeah. And his finishing move is the see you later.
Shit.
It is super slow. They are blown up pretty quick. I don't blame them. They're throwing each other out on the pavement. It's a long one. Okay, and here's the finale. They fight to the back. One of them gets an announcer involved, like Brittany takes the mic, and he's like, Brittany, and the other one just clocks him. And then they fight, and they go off the air with no finish.
Yeah.
There is no end to this match. Like, it just, well, I guess that's it. We got to go, fans. We can't follow him back there. I don't know. Jeremy, give me your thoughts. I wish they had one.
I appreciated that when Warsaw was on top, he kept up the trash talking with the crowd and stuff. I did appreciate that. Semi-pro football team based in... Okay, so that makes sense. He's a semi-pro fucking pro wrestler. But this match went about 7 minutes too long for me.
Wasn't the match only 6 minutes long? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrible stuff. Garbage. Dave, what did you think of it?
I mean, it's one of these things that everything seemed to be missing just by a little bit. That, okay, if they're going to be filming outside of the ring and stuff happening outside the ring, kick on some lights or get a camera over there that has some lighting on it and make sure that your cameras can catch some of the action. They're fighting in the crowd and there's not much of a crowd there. So if you're going to fight in the crowd, either fight to the side of them or fight into an area that doesn't have as many people, so you can take out chairs and use those chairs against each other. That more or less, it's one of these things that fighting into a crowd doesn't help you if it doesn't further the story along. That if you beat up one guy, if you're beating him up outside the ring, then jump in the ring to stop the count, and then they can ring the bell and actually start the match. Because you're not going to win if they never start the match.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just little points here and there that just make it make sense. They go back and watch history of wrestling and see what works and what doesn't. Take what works and put your little spin on it. But it started outside the ring, so it should have just ended there. That if they're not in the ring by a certain time, do a 10 count and just be like, hey, these guys want each other. This is the kind of thing that this will lead to a cage match, hopefully down the line. So it keeps everybody in the ring, and you have a final and definitive winner in the match. So nobody comes in and nobody goes out. It's a cage match to figure out who the dominant person is and who your winner is. Then you move on. But we'll see.
I will bet you guys 1 Canadian loonie, which is about 25 cents American. No, it's about 70 cents American. But anyway, they come back from the next tapings, and those guys fight their way into the arena, and they go, "This fight has been going on since we left you." It didn't make any sense to me. Give me your overall grades. Yeah. Jeremy, what did you think? TSW.
This was ass.
Glad I did not have
worthy of an
in
F.
my mouth.
It's not even worthy of an F.
It's an F minus.
Minus.
Wow. Dave, what about you?
I'm not going to give it an A through an F. I'm just going to give it it's either satisfactory or unsatisfactory. Big unsatisfactory. I mean, I see what they were trying to do, but they just need to do better.
The NWA territory system of old was as successful as it was because they had quality territories that had quality talent, and that's not what is happening here. There's not nothing against the talent that we've seen thus far, but pales in comparison to what the NWA territory system of old was. Harley Race will be rolling over in his grave, I feel.
James seems like he's, much of the same way. I don't know about the big company. We'll find out what's going on with there. We got a few more territories to go through. I guess we'll talk with each other and you guys about whether or not we do another round of the territories right away. But we haven't seen anything that we loved yet.
No.
There hasn't been any. Is it just the wrong shows we've been watching, or is our timing off? Did WLW have other offerings that were better? I think, what would Lou Thez do? Our buddy Lou would say, yeah, they probably do. But boy, this was a expelled before, not enough information to give a grade to carry the metaphor along. This was an F for sure for me. This was the worst of the bunch.
I also want to say that of the shows that we've watched, the one that I had the highest expectations for was ECW or EC3's Exodus Pro.
Yeah.
A majority of names that we're aware of outside of Exodus Pro, the Lord Crew, EC3, the fucking Snot Kids.
Yeah, Slime Balls.
Yeah. And just those three on their own are talented. I even said that the Slime Balls, they have something. They remind me of a much younger Nasty Boys.
Yeah.
That could probably go better than the Nasty Boys did. The Nasty Boys had a 4-set move.
Yeah,
had 4 moves at most, you know. But they were good in the camera. They had charisma and everything, just like the Slime Balls do. But that show sucked. It was not cohesive. Shit just felt out of place at every turn. I wanted to of what we've watched, that's the one that I want that I thought that I would enjoy the most, and it just failed all the way around for me.
Who were the guys? Public Enemy, Flyboy, Rocco Rock, and whoever the other one was.
Johnny Grunge.
Johnny Grudge, yeah. Before they crossed the wrong people and got smoked and then released, but certainly that energy.
Yeah,
but it wasn't a good show, and Willie loves JCP, and we want to love JCP.
Yeah,
the episode we watched, we didn't love it, but we also there was audio issues out the wazoo on that one.
Yeah,
and I think it was you two guys who pointed it out. You could have done it in post. You could have put announcers in. You could have figured something out, but you didn't. So that's it. So that was garbage. We still have Crossfire, which might be behind a paywall. I think James H. Jackson may know. If it's behind a paywall, I'm not paying title match to watch wrestling. We got what else do we got? Chicago, which I don't think has produced anything on YouTube yet.
I don't think so either.
And we have the other Texas one, Dog Pound, which I think you said Jeremy hasn't done anything in a while, right? No. So we'll see what happens from here. But as we say goodbye to the Lone Star State, we say hello to Championship Wrestling from Jeremy.
Attention, everyone. One. School is in session.
Oh, boy, is this great!
Let me talk to you.
Let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
It's time for Championship Wrestling from Jeremy.
Oh, yeah, the nitty-gritty.
The nitty-gritty is my favorite part of that, for sure.
I thank you so much for that video package, Dave. I fucking love that thing. It hits every time for me, bro. We've got James H. Jackson in the chat, and me and him were talking earlier in Discord. And if you're in the Rhode Island area, James H. Jackson let me know that the Wrestling Open Rhode Island is running a live show every Monday and can be seen on IWTV. He said that the production value is quite good. It's a 2-hour show. They're running it live, and he sent me a YouTube clip, and I'll share it with you guys in our Discord. I'm going to check it out after we wrap up the stream here. I was going to do it before stream, but I decided to eat and smoke a joint before I hopped in. So I didn't get a chance to. But I know that I said that this week I was going to be covering level 6 of the 7 levels of hate. I lied. I fucking lied. I had the honor, the privilege, the joy to sit down and watch United Wrestling Network today. I such a breath of fresh air. I was happy to see them back on. We opened up with a UWN tag team match with the tag champs, the Wolf Zaddies, versus the infantry of Carly Bravo and Sean Dean, the captain. Bad Dude Tito and Carly Bravo started out the match. It was a solid outing from both teams. The infantry have stepped up their game from the last time that I had a chance to see them. I enjoyed this match as an opener, but it could have just as easily been a main event on pretty much any card, honestly. The Wolf Zaddies were victorious, but they had to work for it. After the match, the Zaddies were talking to David Marquez, and the infantry attacked the Zaddies and let them know things are far from over. They had about 15 minutes worth. They had about 15 minutes for their match, and honestly, I would have been happy if they went the entire hour. I'm excited to see these two teams go back at it again. The infantry have grown leaps and bounds while in AEW, and the UWN locker room should definitely take notice and be on high alert for them. They're not it's bravo. Yeah. Let's see, what was it? Yeah. That was another thing. David's kind of following suit with WWE and TNA and everybody else, and putting the sponsors on the mat, not just on the ring apron around and running a commercial. So that was nice to see. We then got a announcement from Pretty Peter Avalon, who now has a new title of Producer Peter Avalon. It was kind of weird seeing PPA in a suit, though, but it looked good on him. He announced that the UWN will be crowning a women's champion next week. They will have a ladies' lethal lottery.
Oh.
And they will put up on the screen a group of female talent, and they will do a random draw, and the two names that are pulled up are the two names that are going to compete, and the winner will be the new United Wrestling Network's women's champion.
Have you seen that belt? I know you have. You seen that belt?
Look, if for no other reason, every wrestling promotion in the United States and probably around the world should just hire Dave Marquez to be the guy that designs their belts for them. The man has an eye for a beautiful title belt. I can't gush enough over how well his belts look. We got a announcement about the Heritage Championship, which is another just it's simple. It's nothing super flashy or anything, but just in the design of it, it's so simplistic yet elegant. I love that. Of all the UWN belts, the Heritage one is my favorite. There's just something about it I can't verbalize.
I'll find him and I'll flash him up as you go.
But it is a gorgeous belt. It's beefy looking and just it's worthy of a title, of being a title belt. But with that said, a 5-way scramble for the now vacant United Wrestling Network Heavyweight or Heritage Championship will take place next week, as BHK Kevin Martinson has gone back to his home planet and has retired from wrestling.
Wow.
A sad day, but the contenders for the now vacant title next week will be EJ Sparks, Evan Daniels, Brandon Cutler, Jordan Oasis, and Stunt Marshall. Anyone but Cutler.
Yeah.
But honestly, if he wins, it'll get eyes on it. He's an AEW guy, so it'll bring over some AEW fucking Young Bucks fans over to it.
Right.
And that's what's important at the end of the day, is just getting eyes on the product. We then had Maximilian's debut with Jordan Castle, and he faced off against Fidel Bravo. And me and Lamb were talking during this, and It was a fast match, and like Lamb said, and I agree, it could have went a couple more minutes, just to fully establish who and what Maximilian is. It seems like they're putting him out there as like a pretty boy badass that just steamrolls everybody. But I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that. We then went to QT Marshall and a Zicky Dice segment. Zicky Dice showed up to where QT was holding training. Zicky said he wasn't there to train, but QT said he had the receipts from 5 years ago. Those are some old ass receipts now. Zicky asks what they're doing in there, and QT says that they're putting in the work, and putting in the work means like a fondue fountain and karaoke and lobster tail and shit like that. He then says if Zicky can beat and retain the UWN TV championship next week against QT, that QT will talk to the big boss and see about getting Zicky inside. I'm not sure who the big boss is. I'm quite curious to find that out. It was a fun segment, and it had Zicky written all over it. We then went to the main event, which was WWE ID prospect Ice Williams versus Scorpio Sky. Before the match even started, Williams took off his shirt and threw it at Scorpio. Scorpio, in turn, being Scorpio Sky, and just that fucking quick, immediately grabbed it, started wiping his ass with it, and then threw it right back in his face.
Oof.
Just chef's kiss right there. And it was brought up in the chat that he will be a regular in UWN again, so we will get to see more of him. And thank you. That's all I can say. Just thank you. Yeah. There was nothing flashy about this match. No high spots or big bumps. They put together a solid, engaging match with Ice focusing on the previously injured shoulder of Scorpio Sky. It was back and forth from start to finish. I had no idea who was going to walk out as the winner of the match. Having the ID tag and getting paired up with a seasoned vet like Scorpio Sky was a smart move, and will definitely just help elevate him that much more and get him closer to losing the ID tag and being an NXT student at the end of the day.
Right.
Williams held his own, but Scorpio hit the ace of spades and got the win over Ice. Scorpio extended his hand after the bell in a show of respect. Ice, however, waved it off and left the ring. So I'm hoping that we get to see this grow a little bit more and fester, and we get another match out of them or two, and give Williams the time in the ring with a vet like Scorpio Sky, because the kid's got it. He's got the charisma, he's got the look. He needs to pack on a little bit more size, but that'll come over time. He looked crisp in the ring. Nothing looked really shoddy or bad or anything like that. I didn't see. Everything looked legit and everything between the two of them. So it was a good, solid match. Overall, I'm happy to be able to report again on the United Wrestling Network. I will probably forego reporting on the 6th level or the 7 levels of hate next week as well, as UWN will be back on, and I'll be able to cover the women's match, the Heritage Championship, and whatever else they have. If you're not watching the UWN and all the products, go fuck yourself.
Just straight up, right here, buddy. Is this the Heritage belt that they're using now?
No.
That's the old one, right?
That's the old one, yes.
Yeah.
Rusty Loudermilk. What's up, buddy?
Hey, it's Rusty. Wow, it's been a long time. Good to see you, so to speak. You know what? I always loved the side plate, and I wasn't quick enough to get what we wanted. Speaking of 7 levels of hate,
yeah,
a side plate on that belt. What do they call that thing? That move that Colt does? Some kind of goat. I forget the Billy Goat Revenge.
Billy Goat Curse.
Billy Goat Revenge. Or Billy Goat's Curse.
Yeah. I think the other plate for this on the other side of the belt was Flair and Figure 4 with somebody, I don't remember, but man, those belts. I can't find the women's. It's not on Dan's website either, Dan Van Alst's website. So I guess we'll wait for that to come out from UWN. But man, I agree. So nice to see them back again, man. And look forward to more of the Marquez, Avalon, everybody else over there product.
Yeah.
And friends of the Alliance, we've had so many guys on the different shows. We've had Danny Limelight here, and Jay's spoken to Marquez many times. So just super excited. How do you watch UWN? Rusty wants to know, Jeremy.
I watch the UWN on YouTube on Memphis Wrestling's channel.
There you go. Still on Memphis.
I will. I'll put a link in the chat as well.
Nice. We hope to see you all in the UWN live chats, James says, on Sundays, watching the episodes with me, Jeremy, and Willie. That a boy.
And Steve G's in there.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, thank you very much, my friend. Let us go over now then, as I cue up the video clip and try to talk over the fact that I'm slow on my feet, to Dave Scooby's Fantasy Booker segment. I respect you, Booker Man. Wow, it shouldn't make you put Dave over here now. So, Dave, with the Crockett Cup, in which you are going to earlier next month, coming up, you have fantasy booked what you're calling the Crockett Cup, or the Corgan Cup, a Crockett Cup for the territories. Tell us about it.
Well, okay, this is saying nothing bad about the NWA or anybody working for them, but I'm hoping nobody from the NWA or its affiliates are watching, because then, well, you'll know if all of a sudden the Corgan Cup becomes something in the future where they got the idea. Well, we have proof now that I did come up with the idea, or we as a group came up with the idea. It's a territories tag team tournament. You'd have 8 different teams from the territories. Currently, there's 7 territories. So I'm not sure how we'd work it, but you get 8 teams from the territories. The winner ends up making the power roster, plus they get a shot at the U.S. tag belts.
Oh.
So this is one of those things that sometimes, as within any organization, you got to rotate. Sometimes you get rid of tag teams, or tag teams break up and they go their separate ways. But you got to have some new blood in there, even if it's for 1 or 2 tapings or 1 or 2 events, to give somebody, it's a palate cleansing. It's get that bad taste out of your mouth and get something new. Whether you like the new thing or not, it's something new. It's not the same old, same old. So it's one of those things that let's see what we can do and go to the territories. And not every territory has a tag champion. Like Chicago, they just have a heavyweight champion. They don't have, I think they've had one or two tag teams, but they haven't had, they don't have a definitive roster. They rely on people in the Chicago land area, plus some of the NWA talent. So we're going to go like JCP. My pick for JCP is the Stew Crew. They were good guys, now they're bad. But the Stew Crew, I mean, they're brothers. In most people's eyes, when you wrestle as brothers, you have that instant connection. You know what your brother is thinking. So they're one of my selections of the top 8 to go in, and I'd like to see them make at least the final 4. Move over to Exodus Pro. TME, the main event, Duke and Gannon. Very good tag team that works well together, and more importantly, they've wrestled together for quite a while. They've wrestled in different areas besides Exodus Pro. They've wrestled on AEW. Granted, they're a enhancement team, but they have experience. They're not afraid to get their hands dirty. They work very well, whether it's in or out of the ring, blind tags. They have the chemistry. They may not be brothers like the Stew Crew, but they have chemistry. They can basically work without having to tell each other what to do. It's almost it's almost like they are brothers, but they aren't brothers. Mm-hmm. They'd be my selection to make the top 4. Out of New Mexico, which I've looked, but I haven't seen any matches yet. There's a team called Turbo Test. They're a little on the smaller side, but they're the only tag team that I've seen in the New Mexico territory. So if we're going territories, they're in almost by default. But this is giving us a chance that if they would do something like this, we could see some outside tag teams that could make their way into the NWA, whether it be for signature live events that they end up putting on X, or a tag match that they end up putting on YouTube. This highlights that they can use these tag teams in the territories to highlight either a team that they want to push within the NWA or a new upcoming team from the territories that they want to push and get over. So it's one of those things. If you have several tag teams within all these different territories, there's always a chance for them to get some exposure one way or another. Now, I wasn't able to watch Crossfire Wrestling because they are on Title Match Network, and nothing against it, guys. I'm not paying $10 to watch 1 or 2 matches and then not watch it again. But there's a tag team called the Carnies. I've seen some of their matches as singles wrestlers and as tag teams. You have to do some digging on YouTube, and they aren't known as the Carnies, but you just Google their names and you'll find some matches of them. They're not a bad tag team, but they don't have the experience and the exposure for the big time yet. We go to NWA World League Wrestling. There's a tag team called Dysfunction. I've watched a couple of their matches, and they're stepping up. They're not there yet, but they're climbing the ladder slowly. It's a step ladder, but they're slowly climbing it. It's one of these things that all these different territories, I know it costs money to do events. but you need to let your wrestlers, whether it be in your territory or let them travel. They need to get experience, and wrestling once a month is not going to get them the experience they need to step up. So it's one of those that whether they're wrestling for the territories or outside the territories, all these tag teams that are currently within the umbrella of the NWA territories, they just need to get more experience. And it's one of these things that whether you win or lose, experience is experience. It's not going over or getting over. It's just repetition. The more you repeat something, the better you get, hopefully. Keeping your fingers crossed that you get better. If you're not getting better doing something, then you're not supposed to be doing that thing. We go to Dog Pound down in San Antonio. They have the City Boys. They're a decent tag team. I watch them, and you can definitely tell the influence that Red Dog and Jazz have, that these guys are ruthless. They're wrestlers, but they're not afraid to take a shortcut here and there. Then in Texas style wrestling, you have the OMGs, Mike Anthony and Action Jackson. They're one of the teams that like I said, they need experience. They're not bad as a team together, but when you're wrestling once or twice a month, that's not going to get it. They are wrestlers that know how to wrestle. I wouldn't call them veteran wrestlers. They're just experienced wrestlers. They've been wrestling for more than 5 years. They know how things should be, and they work well with younger talent. So they'd be one of my picks to be in the Final Four of the Corgan Cup. And last but not least, in NWA Chicago, they don't have a tag team championship in Chicago, but they do have a very good tag team that goes all the way back to the days of Chikara wrestling. And that's the early to mid 2000s. And that's Marche Rocket and Acid Jazz. They're the Soul Touchers. Chicago doesn't have a very established main roster that they use a lot of the Chicago area wrestlers. So they aren't really set in a roster. They just use who's available. But right now there's no tag title in the Chicagoland area, but Marche Rocket, very experienced wrestler, Acid Jazz, they work well together. You have a good size advantage with that team. They can ground and pound, plus they're not afraid to every once in a while do a high impact move. They're one of my top four. They're probably my second team that I'd like to see go to the Final Four. And that's one of those things is I just want to see Marche Rocket back in an NWA ring. That if he's not going to be able to wrestle as Marche Rocket in the NWA, get him back there in a good tag team that he can show off his wares. If you know what I mean. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But, yeah, my top four are Marche Rocket and Acid Jazz, the Soul Touchers. Also the OMGs out of Texas Style Wrestling. You also have the Main Event out of XO Pro and the Stew Crew out of JCP. Now, of those, I'd like to see the Stew Crew step up. If they were able to win the territorial Corgan Cup, have them step up and make their way and have them and the Slime Balls battle it out for a shot at the U.S. title or the U.S. tag titles. Now, the Slime Balls, they were going to be in the Corgan Cup as basically they were one of the first tag teams to step up out of the territories. But they've been on Power so much and been used so much, and now they're affiliated with Aaron. I'd have to say that they're NWA. They're NWA all the way, so they don't fit in the territories anymore. They can still work the territories, but they're a NWA tag team in my eyes.
Right.
But the Stew Crew, if you have a chance, you can catch some JCP shows. They don't run very long. Just type in JCP NWA wrestling, and then you can go on Cage Match and look up some matches and see the date, and then just find the corresponding date with the dates on YouTube. So it's one of those things that I'm not saying this would be something that should happen, but it could happen. This is why you have the territories, that they're not using the territories to highlight the NWA. They're using it to find talent to bring to the NWA. That if you're going to send some of your NWA talent, I mean, you're going to send some of your talent back to some of the areas that they started out in. You have Trevor back in MLW. You have some of your other wrestlers, such as, you have Plunky. You don't have to send him back to any specific territory. He's one of your champions.
That's
He's
right.
your Mid-American champion. Send him to all the territories. Have your NWA talent, use them to scout within the NWA territories. Because, they know what goes on in an NWA ring and what it takes to wrestle. So them going back and forth, it's one of those things that if you can't trust your talent from the NWA to say, hey, these are the guys I want to work with, this is a chance when you do something out on the territories to build your future. So this is one of those things that in the future, knock on wood, hopefully they do something like this. If it is called the Corgan Cup, I'm calling it that the other Alliance guys came up with this. So I don't want to take any credit for it, but I'm just saying we created it. So just be thankful that we're doing some of your booking and some of your thinking for you, Billy.
And you want free tickets and merch?
Yeah, that's fine. Fine with me.
Maybe a backstage VIP pass for the event.
Oh, that'd be fine. Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to manage what you're. You got to work this out with Billy yourself, Dave. But
yeah.
The point
definitely got to be more than a hot dog and a handshake.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Excellent job. Before we start winding it down, I meant to mention this to you guys before the show, but I guess we sort of did. But I don't know if we'll go around the territory so much again, like right away, but we can. But like, we used to cover MLW. Jeremy's got UWN back, which is super exciting because that's what I want to watch. So my daughter wants to watch. It's finally back after, I don't know, a year and a bit.
Yep.
MLW's got, what's that? Hammerstone's back in MLW.
Yep.
I assume Alex Kane is still there. I love Alex Kane.
Yep.
Madge Kruger. Who else you got there? I had a whole list.
Kojima!
Like, it's Riddle. Riddle's, if you like Riddle's their champ. They have some, for them, it seems like a lot of the marquee names are all back at once in MLW. And maybe that's something, if people are interested, we'll start looking at MLW. Again, the Alliance has always kind of stayed away from the stuff that everybody else sort of seems to watch. We like the stuff we like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Tim, like MLW, when they do their events, nod, nod, wink, wink to Jaden, when they do their events, they have tapings before and after, or at least they used to. But if they're doing an event and it's on YouTube, it's not more than 2.5 hours. I can deal with that. I can fast forward through things I don't like.
Right.
But it's one of those things that when we watch it, we can review it, but we don't have to review the whole thing. We can go, okay, if there's 8 matches, we can do the first 4 matches, go give those a look. If you like what it is, you can continue the others. We'll talk about the next 4 matches next week. But MLW to me they are, like I've said, they're the buffet of wrestling. A little bit of everything for everybody. They have some decent women's matches. They have some good tag teams. They have some good luchas, good heavyweights, some good hardcore. They have a little bit of everything for everybody. If you don't like what you're seeing, hit that fast forward button and you'll see something that you like. I'm so glad that Hammerstone's back. I'm not sure what went wrong with him and TNA, but I'd love to see him stay in MLW and hell, have him stop by for a couple events in the NWA. Him and Tom would be a banger.
Oh, for sure.
My God. Imagine that. Whoa.
I think Hammerstone's thing with TNA was they didn't get the value for the dollar. He was only on a 1-year contract with an option to re-sign for another year, but he got hurt like 2 months in to the contract, and then he was out and then he came back and he had like 1 match and that was it.
Yeah, well, I think that may have also had to do with Scott signing him.
Yeah.
And then Scott got let loose. Even though they have some of the same creative, Scott's one of these guys, I'm not going to say he was like a Paul Heyman, but he knew how to hide weaknesses and how to accentuate people's strengths. And it's one of these things that I'll say it myself. Hammerstone, great wrestler, not a good talker. He can talk, but if he has somebody do the talking for him and then just basically be one of those guys of, I do my talking in the ring.
Yeah, yeah.
Less is more when he opens his mouth.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So we'll talk about that. We'll figure out what it is we're going to do there. I like if you go to MajorLeagueWrestling.com, they don't call their roster wrestlers. It just says fighters. I like that because there's so many different styles there. Just to illustrate that point. Crockett Cup, ECW Arena, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, on May 19th. Dave's going. I'm going. Who's going out there? Let us know. Big Chris Dog is going to be there. Shout out to Big Chris Dog, who's not here tonight. He's watching. He's at AEW Dynasty right now, I believe, in Philadelphia, which has some pretty decent matches. Like, I'm not an AEW guy. I've never seen a full AEW card. I would be unfair to judge it. I just hear things and watch clips, and it is what it is. But
they tried to kill Adam Copeland.
Did they?
So they took a baseball bat and just drove a bunch of 10-penny nails into the damn thing, and then had John Moxley suplex him onto it.
It's just stupid.
Is AEW going to be the first promotion to live kill a man in the ring?
Well, yeah, Moxley got that spiked bat in his back a while ago, right? That just stuck in there and didn't come out till it was pulled. Oh.
Yeah.
And I think Moxley's got Swerve Strickland tonight for that title. I don't know. Get the belt off that guy, but that's
in the words of Owen Hart, it's time for a change.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. And where is that anyway? I'm just looking it up here. Where is it being held? Oh, the Leah Kouros Center, I think it's called.
Yeah.
You know where that is. But if you're going down to Philadelphia, let us know. Dave Marquez for president. Loves the UWN Wrestling Heritage Heavyweight Championship. Devin loved the slime bells. He wants them for Crockett Cup 25 champs. Really says no. They shouldn't even be invited. I got the country gentleman this year so far, I think. But we'll see how that goes. I was going to do a book giveaway. I'll do that probably next week or the week after. Things change on the fly, and I want to set up a little bit for it. So let's say goodnight, guys. Where we go? Where's the banner? Where is the banners? I've lost the banners. Here we go. On the socials, David Scoobert. Where can they find you?
They can find me at Dave Scooby on Blue Sky, Instagram, and on X. I'm not on a lot, but every once in a while I'll post something stupid or something relevant. It depends on how you look at it. That's about it.
And Championship Wrestling from Jeremy. Where do they find you now? I got to update this thing.
You can find me on Facebook at Jeremy Miller and on the Blue Sky at Alliance Jeremy.
I'm not on anything. It says Blue Sky. Rarely go. It's all good, all fun. The Discord's where you want to be. If you want a Discord invite, hit one of us up. If you're not already in it, Willie, you kept telling me you'd be joining the Discord. I don't see you in the Discord.
I haven't seen you in the Discord yet, sir.
I'm just saying, yeah, join us every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. For the Alliance guys, the guys that we try to compliment in our humble way, our friends Jason, Devin, and Jaden, and that's Thursday night, Eastern, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and then Tuesdays at 5. Jay had the pre-party, didn't he? Jay said that was the last pre-party when he had that on April 1st.
So who knows?
Who knows? We will see. But thank you all for joining us. We hope you enjoyed it. We had a great time. We'll see you next time. We'll see you at the matches. If you buy a ticket, let us in the back door.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.